So, man, we chatted yesterday, and you said, you were maybe a little surprised you got this fight now at your point in your career. So now that you've had time to sit and break down your new opponent, I guess what do you make of his skill set as a whole, and another fellow prospect here at the bantamweight division?
Yeah, definitely a fellow prospect. I was kind of surprised that they matched us up, because it kind of goes against the narrative of building prospects. But it's a great fight for us and for the fans. As far as his skill set, he's a accomplished amateur boxer in his country. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and when you watch the kid fight, he is a dog. He walks forward. When he faces adversity, as far as fatigue, as far as getting hit, he leans into it. And beyond his skill set, I think that's his most powerful trait, because that is fighting. Not all fights are pretty, and he thrives in that.
So do you think this is possibly a tougher fight than what your original opponent was?
I do think this is a tougher fight in a different way. Sergey presented his challenges, and the approach was going to be much different than it is with Cody Haddon. But yes and no.
And, how do you think the trajectory of your career has been? Because I think a lot of people, when they hear you talk, they think you're 21, 22, but, you're 31, I believe, correct, right? So how do you think the trajectory of your career has been so far?
Man, my career has been fast. It's been a rocket ship. It was just, a 6-week turnaround from my debut to my follow-up, and then the follow-up being in Atlanta against such a well-known name like Chris Mutino, getting the finish that I got, and then after that, the UFC telling me they was going to let me fight at MSG. It's been fast. What a rookie year, especially for it to have started in April. It's quick, but, man, it's been great.
How's the team handled the new attention? Because I feel like, especially with these prospects, everyone starts to look at the team around them because they think they're going to go to one of the big gyms down the line. So I guess how's your team handled all the eyeballs on them?
I'm going to be real, man. Me and my team, we crossed all those hurdles a long time ago. We are so locked in and so tight. When I'm in Vegas training with, these big names, or if I'm taking these trips, to different places, it's never no doubt, question, no funny feeling or anything like that. We are so locked in, bro. I love them to death. I can't do this without them.
How are you balancing, personal life to now being a UFC star? Because it's not every day where you lose a fight. The UFC seems pretty adamant they wanted you in Madison Square Garden.
I don't know. Being labeled as a UFC star is crazy to me. You know what I mean? I guess in some sense I fit the qualifications of it, but it's not too much different than it was before. My life don't look too much different, and I just keep doing what I've been doing.
And, obviously you're fighting an Australian with a big Australian in the main event. Have you felt more attention on this fight now that you are fighting? They might be more media you have to do, considering there's a lot of Australian media here as well.
That didn't even cross my mind. If more Australian outlets wanted to talk to me because of it, I didn't put the two together.
So this last one for me, what do you think of that main event between Islam and Jack?
Historic banger of a fight. Islam is one of the most dominant fighters that we've seen, and we've all been waiting to see if he was going to move up. And now that he is and is having this super fight at MSG, it's incredible to be able to not just witness it but be a part of it. But I do have Islam winning that fight. Thank you.
Malcolm right here. So your recent interview, you talked about obviously trying to keep that knockout streak going if you get the opportunity. But you also said you're excited about this matchup because the way he fights, you might have to show your defensive wrestling, you might have to show some kicks, you might have to show some cardio, all this stuff. Do you have a prediction of one or the other? Is it going to be that quick knockout, or is it going to be that deep fight?
My prediction is always first round knockout. Even if he does come in and he's a bit more reserved, from the beginning, I'm looking for the openings that we have predicted to show themselves. And when I see that target, I'm going to commit to it and hopefully still get a first-round knockout.
Obviously, you got a lot of buzz on you. You did the Ariel Helwani show yesterday, your MSG. You're the A-side. You're the person that they put on the card. He's the fill-in. But the betting line is actually pretty close. Are you surprised by that?
Not really. I'm not surprised that it's close, especially, speaking from being compared to the betting lines I've been a part of previously. But I respect him, and I think that the fact that the betting lines are close show that the general public is fairly educated on the fact that he's a talented kid that also has a bright future. So I'm glad that the betting lines are closer.
And how many times this week have you reflected back? Wasn't that long ago you were doing 16-hour shifts doing construction, you were saying, to now, biggest city in the world, Madison Square Garden. I mean, how often you had to, pinch yourself?
Every single day, man. I woke up at 6 a.m. to catch my flight on Monday, and it was cold outside. And I told my wife, I was like, this is the first winter in 9 years that I'm not going to be on a job site. It's crazy to me every single day. Like, it was just 7 months ago. I was still on the job. And it's so hard for me to break a lot of the habits. The way I talk trash to people is from the construction industry, the way that I approach things in life. It's a part of who I am and what made me the man I am today. So I think it's going to be on the forefront of my mind for a long time.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, brother.
Malcolm back here. As fast as you went from a full-time pipe fitter to now a full-time UFC superstar, your fan base has grown immensely as well. How important is it for you to keep up with your fans, stay in touch with them, kind of show them, what's going on here?
It's very important to me. The in-person interactions, I make it very evident that I care about the people who support me. I try to take as much time as I can, sign as many things as I can, take as many pictures as I can. But that also translates to social media. I try to always stay in touch and keep it real and be transparent and give more of myself to my fans, because I think that, yes, people love me for my performances, but the reason that I am so, impactful to the fan base is because of my story and who I am. And so I make sure I focus on that.
And what do you make about the rest of this bantamweight division at the current moment with all these recent fights happening? What do you make of the division? And secondly, who do you think is the most favorable matchup in that top 5 for you?
Man, I can't call the top 5 off the top of my head. All of them are tough, to be honest. I think the bantamweight division in general is a banger division. Even outside of the rankings, there's still fights you could put me in that people get excited about. So that's how I feel about the bantamweight division, from the mid tier all the way to the top. There's many opportunities for super fights, and when you start talking about the rankings, you start talking about incredible fighters like Corey Sandhagen. I mean, goodness, the fight that he just put up was crazy. He's definitely not the easiest fight for me in that top 5. But I can't call a name on what I think would be the best matchup for me, but I think all those guys that have rankings next to their name are well-deserved.
And lastly, I hear you've adopted a little bit of a new kind of motto, the triple Gs. What's that all about, and where did that kind of come from?
Yeah, so my guy Mills, we do interviews. He's somebody that's been interviewing me for a while. And, he a cool dude, so he got different lingo that he dropped. And the 3 Gs was one of them. He was like, your guys, your guts, and your guns, you got to stick to them. And when he said that, it had a good ring to it. And it's kind of like the motto I live by, just in different words. So shout out to Mills, man.